So, James, I'm looking at tech stocks up more than 30% in just the last 3 months. And a short list: Apple, Tesla, AMD, Snap, Spotify, NVIDIA, Zillow, Redfin. You like Facebook and Baidu in this market, but how much can you like some of these names given how quickly they have run up?
Yeah, John, that's a very good question. We think valuation right now is still very attractive. If you look at Facebook coming into the year, I think a lot of investors are very concerned about regulations. I think as we get into the year, a lot of people are getting more comfortable because some of the regulatory issues of policy that happened over the last few years has had very limited impact on Facebook. If I look at from a valuation perspective, in terms of EV to EBITDA for Facebook, only trading at 10 times with the growth rate of 20% over the next 2 years. From that perspective, we still see a lot of upside. But keep in mind, Facebook, unlike other companies, it has a very important under-monetized asset in terms of mobile messaging. You got 1 billion users in Facebook messengers in the U.S. and 1 billion of WhatsApp internationally that's not monetized at this point in time. We see significant upside. Now, in terms of Baidu, the stock's only trading at 3.5 times EV to EBITDA. The stock think that is a broken story at this point in time. We don't think so at this point. We think this is the new discovery content of China that will continue to do very well. It's becoming the third walled garden, above it beyond Alibaba and Tencent at this point in time. All the negative trend that happened in 2019 is going to be lapping in 2020. So from that perspective, we're very confident the stock will do very well.
Okay, so Jeff, as a venture capitalist, you're on the lookout for the next Facebook and Baidu. As we look at the IPO pipeline in 2020, are investors, IPO investors in particular, just going to have a really long-term view, given what the market has been doing recently and the possibility that at any point, sentiment could turn on riskier stocks?
Yeah. Great question, John. Well, we see a really strong IPO pipeline. As you guys know, there have been hundreds of billions of dollars poured into private companies over the last few years in the private sector, and we've got hundreds of companies today that are already valued at over $1 billion. Most of those are already doing hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue as well. So as they come public, you're seeing a very warm reception from large public market investors, and I'd point to a couple of examples. Last year, Zoom, which is up 20%, Datadog, which is up 46%. Really strong tech companies. I'd also point out that the market's been pretty efficient. The fact that WeWork didn't get public tells you that there is some discernment in the public market investing landscape, and we think that'll bode well for companies that are going to come out this year. And we're seeing a really strong pipeline. The folks that I talked to at Goldman and Morgan are telling me there's a very strong pipeline in the works, and obviously we see that in our portfolio as well.
Jeff, we've seen a real drought in terms of cross-border activity, especially in the tech space between the U.S. and China. This phase one trade deal that's supposed to be signed tomorrow, does this do anything to reverse or change that, especially when you do talk about a longer-term potential decoupling of tech between the two countries?
Well, as you guys know, I'm a very big bull long-term on the fact that there are 7.3 billion people in the world. We've only got 300 million here in the U.S., and so the opportunities to go after, for example, fintech, which has been a red-hot sector with Visa's acquisition of Plaid yesterday and PayPal buying Honey a month ago, you're seeing a lot of activity in fintech. The biggest opportunities in fintech by far, for example, are with that 7 billion folks that are outside the U.S., in particular the 4 or 5 billion that are in Southeast Asia, Latin America, India, Africa. And so what I think you'll see over the next 3 to 5 years is both U.S. companies as well as Chinese companies as well as other players around the world trying to figure out how do we work together, how do we collaborate, and how do we go after that emerging demographic. We like to say the next billion folks that have never had banking, never had financial services, are all going to come into the market over the next few years, and we think there's huge upside opportunity there.